can see, October in New York has begun. Leaves starting to change color now. It's a warm day. The mosquitoes are back. It's about 6 o'clock, so there's not much light left. But that's how I like it. Keeps the videos short, entertaining, and manageable. Let's see how far down I go if I walk on flat land at all. There are some topics I can talk about that relate to yesterday's discussion on how disabled people fare socially within the broader society. I think in this video I'll focus on the concept of beauty, how society arrives at a basic consensus and basic definition of what beauty is, and how that impacts the lives of disabled people. But first, let's make some progress down the hill. This is always a nice spot. Right before you start making the descent down. Mosquitoes are gonna make me pay for this today, but that's alright. Soon it'll be cold enough. They won't be around. This is one of my favorite angles. You can see the ground is still wet. From the previous rain event. There's my track right there. You can see the leaves changing color. Have to flip 180 degrees. There you go. That was pretty smooth. I think that was the smoothest rotation that I've had. Just a simple slide. To get down to that tree right there. My knee prints. That gives you some perspective on what I just did. the way I approach beauty. People say beauty is subjective, and to some extent that is true. But you cannot deny an objective basis for beauty. In society, I don't care which society you're talking about, in society in general, there is a view, and a justified view, in my belief, that physical health is to be searched for. If somebody is healthy, they're more likely to be viewed as attractive by the opposite sex, or for that matter, the same sex. If someone is unhealthy, they are more likely to be viewed as unattractive. This is just objective fact. This idea I do not feel is controversial. As for how this affects people with disabilities and how they see themselves in society in general, I make the argument that people with disabilities are at a loss from a biology standpoint. They will not be viewed as, quote unquote, as attractive as other non-disabled people, at least in the eyes of the majority of the population. People can always find outliers that straddle the boundary of whatever you're talking about and try to make whatever you're talking about irrelevant. But this is not useful. For someone with a disability, this biological drive toward a very, what I would argue, is a basic standard of just physical ability. That standard is very difficult for disabled people to get around. And because of this, and only because of this, disabled people might find themselves, or do find themselves, cast aside in the sexual marketplace. This marginalization has absolutely nothing to do with social media. I would argue that a disabled person's opinion of themselves goes much deeper than social media can possibly cause. For a disabled person, their physical appearance is usually a constant reminder of their disability. In my case, for example, I can look at myself in the mirror, see all the musculature I do have, and to be honest, at the end of the day, none of that matters, because at the end of the day, when you look yourself in the mirror, you're hunched over. You don't stand up straight. You have a lazy eye. And if you think people don't recognize this and take it into account, maybe not even consciously, but unconsciously, then you're fooling yourself. Because biology dictates that humans look for certain characteristics which might make a person unsuitable to reproduce. And it is my belief that if you are hunched over, or you have a lazy eye, or anything really that is common amongst disabled people, your chances of having a successful social life are almost zero. This might offend some people, but this is the truth. And this is what my channel is designed for. I will never intentionally lead people astray. I will always try to give them the truth. Whether it hurts people's feelings or not, the truth is important. I know some people think that we create our own truths and that knowledge is subjective, but that is wrong. We do not create the universe we see around us, at least in that sense. The universe is here, and we play by its rules of physics and biology. Never ignore that. The second you ignore that, you are useless. You will give people bad advice, and at the end, that is not useful to anyone. I do not like the idea that people constantly berate social media as this giant negative influence on society. If you think social media created your problem, then you just weren't looking hard enough to begin with. Because your problem already existed. It's kind of like my lung function. Now, I just got tested last week, and it turns out that my lung function is poor. And I honestly didn't know this until I took the test. But my lack of awareness about the issue prior to last week doesn't mean the issue didn't exist before last week. It was just my physical abilities which were able to mask that problem. People can mask a lot of problems and blame a bunch of different things for their problems, but that doesn't make their arguments true. Most of the time, if somebody has a problem and blames an external factor, which is a fad at the time, like social media, their problem already existed. If anything, maybe social media just helps them pinpoint their problem. But I argue that that is a good thing. It is not a bad thing to have something that pinpoints your problem, that pushes on the trigger points of your life. It is good to have those things and realize where the trigger points are. Because then, if you have to, you can create compartments in your mind which keep you focused on certain things and away from other more traumatic things. I know that is one of the things I got very good at. Creating the ability to basically determine whether you want to participate in a certain mindset is important. If you can step outside yourself and really take a external view, I believe it helps you understand how the world works on a very deep level. A lot of people, for whatever reason, are very unintelligent. They're not capable of higher thought. But if you are capable of higher thought, a lot of cool things become available to you. I know in my life, my intelligence is probably the only thing that keeps me alive. Although, if I was a dumb person, it'd be way harder for me to recognize all the things I'm missing out on in life. So, that might be where a lot of people fall. A lot of people, I feel, are too stupid to recognize all the things they're missing out on life. And that allows them to have a positive attitude. But my intelligence allows me to see things that other people miss. And I don't know what the future holds, but if my life is to be successful, then it's going to be through distributing a message which is only possible if you're intelligent. I will not make stupid videos just for views. The videos I make will always have a point. There will always be something you can take away from the videos. And hopefully, at the end of my life, my videos become popular enough that they help people past my lifetime. And that's really the goal. Because I've seen a lot of people just in my comment section who do not share the same attitudes I have, which is not a problem. It is important to have diversity in opinion. But a lot of the comments I get, and maybe this is just the way that a certain type of person wants to interact, but a lot of my comments that I get are from people that express concern. Always tell you to be careful, don't swim alone, don't hike alone, don't do this alone, engage in groups. That's all fine. But at the end of the day, there are certain people like me who like to take chances, who will look at danger, who will look at this cliff and say, I don't care, I'm going down it. If I fall, I fall. We also don't need groups to have fulfillment. We certainly do not need niche groups to feel fulfillment in a very small way. If I was to feel fulfillment, then I would like to do so in such a way where I reach a great number of people, where I am successful in normal society and not some niche fabricated version of society. These opinions I have are very harsh, I will admit that. But I do feel like they are, in a sense, the most correct. The most, I almost want to say pure, but I'm not sure that that's the correct term. Did you see that squirrel or that rabbit that just jotted up the hill? That was pretty cool. It might be a squirrel. We get a lot of squirrels here. I hope that you can see through my videos like this that I have a lot of ideas which are not expressed by a lot of people. But these ideas are very useful. You would be so hard pressed though to find any views like this online or any of the books you read or anything, which is why I made this channel, because I feel like a lot of people's advice or opinions are just nonsense. They're just words that are designed to make people feel better. My goal is not to make people feel better. My goal is to spread truth. That is it. Whether that is offensive and hurts people's feelings is not my concern. It never has been, and it never will be. I will never intentionally be mean, but I will be mean if it's called for and it serves a purpose. Because at the end of the day, if I were to make disingenuous fluff videos where I just spew positivity and say anything is achievable, just try harder and feel better about yourself, I would not be able to live with that. I will never do that. To me, it is better to live a knowledgeable, depressed life than it is to live a happy life where you're just constantly naive about everything around you. Even if that mindset keeps you happy, I don't believe happiness is what life is about. Some people believe that is the case. I believe the search for knowledge and truth is what life is about, not happiness. These mosquitoes are insane. They will bite any exposed skin, even your face. I'm actually surprised, given the nature of my videos, my approach, that I have 94.2% likes on my videos. That's a really high number, considering my approach to my videos. I honestly wouldn't care if that number went way down. My approach would not change. Because at the end of the day, spreading your message and your message alone is important. Don't ever feel like you're obligated or that you should spread a message you don't believe in, just because that is the positive thing to do and you think that positivity helps people. Positivity might help people, but I would argue, like I argued earlier, that if positivity does help you, you have a deeper issue that you're not addressing. Maybe there could be a social media equivalent to that, which highlights your deeper problem. I did not go to school for psychology or sociology. I majored in environmental science and I graduated with honors. But I do understand psychology, I do understand sociology, and I understand having a disability. And I also understand philosophy and how all those things interrelate. So I'm well equipped to give my opinion on these matters. Even if my opinions will be seen as negative and not what people are used to hearing. If you really look at it though, most people that have a disability could not do any of the things I do. Do you really think people with a disability as severe as mine, and mine is moderate cerebral palsy, would swim 400 meters off the coast of Florida and make a YouTube video about it? Or go down a rock face where they could easily fall at any minute? Or hike by themselves for 3, 4, 5 hours where they could trip at any minute and be alone? The answer is probably no. But the reason I can do those things, in large part, is because I'm tough. And the reason I'm tough, I believe, is because of my attitude. People like to think that they're tough and they could have a positive attitude. But I'm here to tell you, 95% of the people, maybe 98% of the people that think they're tough are the weakest people and usually crumble when things get too hard. Now, my life might end by suicide, but I will never crumble. I will be as aggressive in my pursuit of knowledge and truth to the very end. That will never go away. That I'm positive of. Even if my lungs give out and I can't breathe anymore, I'm always going to be that hard person. That also brings me to this. I've been doing some reading on lung function and cerebral palsy, and it turns out having respiratory problems is very common amongst people with cerebral palsy and is a major cause of death for them by a huge number. So that's fun. I have noticed that I do take a lot of shallow breaths. I can breathe and I'm physically fit and I can do things, but I take a lot of shallow breaths to accomplish my goals. Let's see how much light is coming through the camera. Very much in this video. But I decided to talk a lot more in this video than I thought I was going to. So there was only so much movement that could be done. But it looks like there's a little bit of time. So I was thinking maybe we could go to the stream, but I think that I'm not going to do that because light fades so fast. I think I'm just going to make the turn up the rock face and call it there and be happy with the message that I spread today. That's what I'm going to do, because it has to be around 6:50 now, because this video is now 43 minutes long. So I'm going to make my way up the rock face now. And we're just going to start moving. I noticed in the video that I was pronouncing fulfillment wrong, but that's okay. For some reason I put an R in there, but it's fulfillment. Maybe with going up early enough, you can actually have an opportunity to see what the whole process looks like. Most of the time, as I finish this video, or the videos like this, I'm finishing in darkness. So for a portion of the videos, maybe the last 5 minutes really, as I go up this rock face, all you see is blackness. You hear me, but all you see is blackness. Today, it looks like you should get a better picture. assuming I don't struggle too bad. This is a tricky spot because you have this rock here, so I have to move my body over to this side a little bit. And I don't really have a great angle to do it, but you just gotta do it. Like that. Don't want to slip backwards. Now this is only about a 2-foot move, but it's difficult. You need your hand hold right here. It's critical. And you need your knee holds right here. And that's how much weight you have left. Right there. So let's make this move. Okay. Move my knees up. Walking sticks are secure. Need to really put pressure on the knees because the knees are keeping you in place. That's the cliff. That's the remaining light. This is what it looks like here. That's what it looks like there. Just a bunch of disturbed ground. That's where we go. Let's see if I can put pressure on my feet. Stay upright. I haven't been able to actually walk up this crack. It's too narrow. But there is a reason that you would like to stay upright. It's just the most human position. But now is the time where I get quiet as I make this one final push. So let me do that. As a distant gunshot goes off. after all that, I just decided to get upright and just use my hands. But the ground is too soft. For that approach. Okay. Okay. Made it up the crack. How you do that? You have to just dig your knees into the ground and use your hands and your knees to push it forward. There's no other way that I can do it. That's the bottom. Going to my handhold tree. I have a handhold standing up. And there you go. I've realized through editing these videos that I don't spend as much time going up that crack as I think I do. When you're doing it, it feels like it takes 10 minutes, but in reality, it's only maybe 4 minutes of effort, and then it's done. It might even be less than 4. Okay. Got dirt in my eye there. It's okay. On my knees now. Walking sticks further up the hill. Crawl into my next and final handhold tree. Hold of the tree. Standing up. My trusty day tree. I got bitten by so many mosquitoes today. That's fine. There's not much light coming through the camera right now. The GoPro is saying that it's whiter than it actually is, so that's interesting. But that's going to be the end of this video. Just shy of an hour. Always leave with the last bit of white.